All right. Hello, everyone. We are coming today with a Kings of War battle report. It's I needed a little break from Kings of War. I played at Lone Wolf, had a lot of prep for that, and then Lone Wolf. So I've played some games of Kings of War since, but this is my first recorded game of Kings of War. So just to go in here, it's my Kingdoms of Men versus my friend's Order of the Green Lady. So we're both running 2300. That's kind of the standard. We're doing the control scenario. So both of us are kind of testing new armies and new units. So you're going to notice that, both of us haven't really finished some of our armies. I know I'm trying some new units. He's trying a new army. So just kind of keep that in mind. We're not, these are armies that we're testing and that we're trying new things with. So let's go into the list. So for me, I've got a spear phalanx with my pike upgrade, like you do, and I have the dragon shard shield on them. Just a really good item on that spear phalanx with pikes. I love that item with them. So we've got foot guard with hammer of measured force, just another great item for them. Two regiments of militia mob. I've got the fanatics with the blood of the old king, which is just such a perfect item for them. Knights with the J boots. And I have this is a unit that I'm testing out. I've got a troop of chariots with the skirmishers boots, so giving them nimble. I'm going to try this out and see. This is kind of one of my little experimental units. See how it does. Triple ballista. I think with the points drop in ballistas are just in a really good place. With all kind of I was running some siege artillery, but just with everything going on with so much stealth and a lot of tournaments being very cover heavy, I think that just ballistas at their base hitting on fours are just they're going to provide more consistent damage, and they're a lot cheaper than siege artillery. So triple ballista and going double giant. So I've just struggled for a while now trying to find, I run a Templars theme based Kingdoms of Men, and it's just, I've really didn't want to add in giants until I found a model that I think would fit with the list. And I finally found those models and ordered them. So I think now I'm going to start bringing in some giants. We got a standard bearer with the loot, two mounted heroes, and I've got the captain and I have him unmounted. So 35 points is just, him mounted is good, but 35 points to pay for him being mounted is a lot. So I'm trying him unmounted. 16 units for 23 unit strength. So a pretty good. 16 is a lot of drops. And with captain, between 16 units and a lot of drops, I should really be able to out deploy my opponent in most cases. Oh, safe. Okay, so for him, he's running Order of Green Lady. He's got a horde of just men-at-arm retainers. He's got Vial of Sacred Water on basically everyone he can put it on. So that's just a good cheap unlock for him at 180 points. He's running another basically Foot Knights Order of Brotherhood on foot. So has them the Sacred Water as well. He's got some Brotherhood Centaurs. Sacred Water. This is probably the big part of his armor where he's running 3 Order of Redemptions, and he's got a Brew of Strength, Brew of Sharpness, and Helm of the Drunken Realm, and he's got an Order of the Forsaken with the J boots. This is really the meat of his army, is these 4 really hammers. He's got 3 Pegasus, which are great chaff. So this is his 3 chaff units. And this is the other side of his hammers, which is these 3 unicorns, all of which have lightning bolt and host shadow beast. So that 3 unicorns also, that is a lot of hitting power as well. So his army really revolves around those 4 units of cavalry and these 3 unicorns doing work. And everything else is kind of meant to support that. He's got 13 drops, a little more elite than me, but he actually has more unit strength than me. It's interesting. I out deploy him, but he technically has a little more unit strength than me. All right, so let's go into the setup here. So I'll show you my Kingdoms of Men. As you can see, I've got some models missing. I'm trying to magnetize my militia mob. I'm using some Menoth war machines, warjacks for my giants until I get them in, and I also ordered some ballistas. So I'm using some organ guns right now for ballistas until I get those models in. And I've got my two Beast Cav chariots. I usually use them as Beast Cav, but I'm trying them out as just regular chariots here. Um, the Foot Guard are on the left. The Fanatics are right above them. Two militia mobs. The Horde Knights. Oops, didn't want to reveal that to you. Horde Knights. And then I've got my pikes here. So everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Two mounted heroes. My captain is the model right here, and then I've got my standard bearer here with the loot. So I just wanted to show you the models that I found some really good models. So I'm bringing in three of them. So one, and this is the other one, and then so these are going to be my three giants. So I'm waiting to get the models and get them painted up. But it's really nice that I finally found some giant models that are gonna work in kind of my Templar base theme. All right, so this is set up. So this is post captain redeploy. Big thing I did after, so we all set up. And going on his side, he's got that, he does have a lot of empty bases, so I'll just cover it here. He's got one of his Pegasus right here. This empty infantry base, this is his men-at-arms. He's got, this is his Foot Knight regiment right here. And here is one of his unicorns, and then this is his cavalry. He's marked them by the magic items. So this is the sharpness cavalry. So those guys are hitting on 2-up base, so pretty nasty. He's got his centaurs right beside them. I'll go through his deployment first. So from the centaurs, he's got two of his Pegasus in the woods. He's got his other unicorn behind them. This is his Order of the Forsaken with the Strider boots. They're in the forest not to get shot. And then going towards the far right end, he's got his other two Cav regiments. He's got Drunken Ram and Strength. So when I saw him put the Drunken Ram on this side, I immediately, again, just because I have more drops than him and Captain, I pretty much got the better end of any sort of deployment that he was going to do. So once I saw him drop those two Cav units there, I knew that, my pikes were going to go there and just basically say, I don't care about your Drunken Ram. And he's got a unicorn on the far left. Let's go up to my deployment. So I've got my chariots here on the far left, and my hero and knights got redeployed from the captain. Once I saw him set up some infantry on this side, I immediately just did the captain redeploy. I had my cavalry towards the middle, and I just moved these two units here to really counter his infantry. And once I saw him drop one of his unicorns here, I also stacked all my ballistas. I definitely plan on if I get first turn, I'm definitely going to be shooting that unicorn off the board here. So I've got my knights. I then have a militia mob. Just going to my center, I've got a militia mob. And then I've got one of my giants. So I've got that militia mob kind of covering for one of his giants. Standard bearer. I've got my Foot Guard just in the center. They're a good, solid, all-around unit that can just hold the center. And then just going towards the left, I've got Captain right here. I've got my other mounted hero right beside him. Captain's going to be providing a lot of his rally. Her rally, I guess, is technically a female figure if you want to be specific. The militia mob are running up with their fanatics behind them. So I've aligned the militia mob to be basically on the corner. They have aligned the left corners, so they're not going to be able to charge the left side of the fanatics. It's just the right. So those militia mobs are just going to kind of get that fanatic into the fray. Giant, and then again, I've got my pikes covering that far flank. All right, that's just another view of the table here. You can kind of see what's going on here. Yeah. All right. So top of turn one, I did get first turn, and so that was always a big advantage in this game. So I moved up here. And with my chariots, they shot. I did this after shooting phase. All three of my ballistas and my chariots all shot into his Pegasus and took it off the board. I moved up my knights on top of a hill so that if I do need to get a charge, I'm going to get an extra Thunderous. I have the J boots there. I actually did a little bait. I put one of my heroes here just to kind of bait in some units. He can't get in with my cavalry, but he could get in with one of those unicorns. So I am doing a little bit of a bait there, just seeing if he'll go in. Even if he kills and overruns into my knights, I should with Banechant be able to take out one of those unicorns. Those unicorns are a real pain, so I do want to try to take care of them. The giant actually just pushed in front of the militia mob. and my standard bearer came up behind him, I'm really trying to just keep him in his side of the corner, right? I was able to just, these are some fast units. I stayed out of his charge range. Now, he does have his flyers. They can go into my giant, but if they do, they're pretty much dead. So I also pushed up my foot guard as well, as you can kind of see, staying outside of 16. But, his flyers can go into my foot guard. I even did another bait here where I put my hero here saying, hey, go and kill my hero. And then, I even pushed it past here. I actually wanted his flyers going into my foot guard alone. They're going to hit those foot guard, do some wounds, and then I'm going to flank him and kill him. So a little bit of a bait here with my other hero. Also getting my hero on the hill. So if I need to, I can get a little thunderous one. Just push up the fanatics. On the far end, you see I've got my giant. I've pushed up the pikes and the militia mob. They're in charge range, and I've tucked the giant right in between them, just so I can't get charged. You see the captain fell over. Her model is just not great. The captain is technically right here on the corner of this hill. We just couldn't get it to set, so we both agreed that this is where she is. But she's also tucked in, so she's just right up there, giving her rally one to all these units. All right, so that's just the end of the first turn. Other than just taking out the Pegasus, it was a pretty uneventful first turn. Oh, that's just another view. You can kind of see where this flank is going up here, where I've got my I'm taking the hills so that if he does get close, I'm going to get some charge bonuses here, just keeping his army back. Bottom of turn 1. All right, so it's his turn. So he does actually take a bait. I'm actually okay with this if he actually kills this hero and goes into my knights. I'd happily take that. I've got the chaff to kind of deal with that anyway. I've got the chariots on the far left. So I'm perfectly happy him killing this hero and then me just swinging back and killing one of those unicorns, just getting it out of the way. But he does push up his infantry. He keeps his cavalry back, and he moves his great eagle. I call them great eagles because they are eagle models. So I may call his Pegasus great eagles just because they just look like them. But he pushes his 2 Pegasus here, pushes his centaurs. A lot of his armor just moves up. His Order of the Forsaken, they just slide over to the left. They're staying back. They've got the speed. He doesn't. I think he pushes up a little bit, but he doesn't charge yet. He instead shoots some. I think he wants to soften up this flank, so he does take both of his unicorns, shoot some lightning. He doesn't roll great and just does 2 wounds on him. So I think he's trying to soften up my pikes before he goes in. Yeah, he does 6 wounds on that. He does 6 wounds on that hero, but he rolls a 4 and wavers him. So that's actually even worse than him. Just he didn't even get to kill this hero. So technically, those knights could actually run past. I mean, neither of them are mighty. So those his plan definitely flubbed here, and that was just a bad roll. So I think like I said, it's even better for me now. I don't even take a few wounds on I keep my hero, although he's wavered, and then I keep some wounds on the knights. Top of turn 2. So rather than going into some of his infantry here, I really don't want this unicorn in my backfield. And so I have a golden opportunity. So I actually just send the chariots in to chaff up his infantry unit. And then this hero fell down the hill. It couldn't sit there, but the hero is actually just barely half aligned with the unicorn. That allowed my knights just to basically come up, hit, and then slide over. That's allowing my knights to get a little further away from all this. So there's a lot of fast cav over here. It's pushing my knights to the left so that I get a little more space from all this cav. So just keep in mind this hero is like right here. It's just, it just can't stay because it's the hill. I then move up my militia mob. So I turn them and I move this way. I know that he's got some infantry coming up here. I know those chariots aren't going to survive. They've got a flank from the knights are going to flank them. So I'm just turning and moving up these militia mob to just get in range to chaff up and support these knights. I push up the giant a little more. I keep my standard bearer behind the giant so he's not going to get lightning bolted. I charge his centaurs from the hill. So that's going to be crush one, thunder one, so it should be winning them on twos. I push up the foot guard. Yeah, just all that going on. So here's just another view of it. My chariots are going in. So that's just another view of what I just showed you. On here, I just push up forward. So with him trying to lightning bolt me down, I get a little more aggressive. I really just push these. I want to force the issue sooner. If I stay back too long, he's just going to get 2 or 3 turns of lightning bolt in me, and then he's going to charge me. So rather than letting him do that, I really force the issue by just pushing up very, very far. So that, basically I push so far that the Militia Bob can charge him next turn, the Fanatics can charge him, and even the Pikes can charge him, and certainly the Giant can charge him. So I'm not letting him get an opportunity to shoot me with lightning bolt a few turns. I also I push my captain behind all these units. The captain is within 6 inches of not only these units, but also my foot guard. So that's just showing the captain is also with the foot guard. So he's giving her rally bubble, I guess, to all these units here. Yeah. So it's just another view. What's going on? All right. So into combat. Oh, the other thing that happens here is you don't see a Pegasus here. It's probably shown here, but my ballistas also shoot his other Pegasus and take him out. So that's 2 Pegasus gone. He's only down to really 1 Pegasus left. It's really nice that I've taken out 2 of his chaff before he can really just kind of plug things up. All right, so going forward here, I do kill the unicorn. It's a charge. It's automatic death, and then they do back up 3 inches here. I do a couple of wounds on the men-at-arms, but I just chap them up. I actually roll, it's 3s and 2s, and I hit once and roll the 1. So I don't injure these centaurs. So these centaurs are free, which sucks. I was trying to tie them up, but he does now have this triple charge on the foot guard. Now, that's not a disaster. The foot guard are 22-24 with Def 5. So they can still tank a lot of, even if these 3 units go in, that's still a lot of damage that they're going to be able to tank. So it's not the end of the world, but I definitely would have liked to have hit those centaurs. But I didn't. That's how it works. All right, and that's just me pushing up, just showing some things else. It's just another view of the battlefield on turn 1. So bottom of turn 2. So he definitely takes that triple charge. He puts his Pegasus into my Giant just to kind of chaff him up, and he sends the centaurs, he sends the unicorn and the Order of Forsaken all into my foot guard here. So I'm thinking he's, by averages, he's going to get, it's going to be like a 6 or 7 twice. So it's just about a 50% chance that those, I think he's got a basically pure averages around like a 40-something% chance to kill these foot guard. So it's, the foot guard by pure averages should stick, but he certainly should waiver them. I think I was definitely expecting a waiver out of those foot guard. He also takes his sharpness. I don't think he wants this hero running around the backfield. Those sharpness didn't have anything good to charge anyway, so he just they're further back, so he does just charge. Go ahead and just take care of my hero so that he's just out of the way. Takes a flank on my chariots. We already knew that was going to happen. That's just another pick of the triple charge. So he goes, he kind of goes back and forth on this, but I really did force his hand. And I really forced him to just take the triple charge on my pikes. He knew it was not the best decision. I knew it wasn't, but me just being aggressive those first 2 turns, I really forced his hand. He didn't want to go into the Fanatics because he could only put 1 unit, couldn't hit the Giant. So the only thing I gave him was a triple charge on the pikes. And even with 2 wounds, that's a 21-23 unit with phalanx and ensnare. So I feel pretty confident that those guys are just going to stick. And even if they waver, I've got Dragon Shard Shield to pop. And, I can easily flank those units and just kind of crush that flank, pop Dragon Shard Shield, and then those pikes could easily survive even if they get wavered. So rolling on the turns, a little better than so this technically was averages. He needed it. He rolled 13 wounds, which is I think about average. And then he needed 10s twice to kill, 8s even to waver, so he doesn't waver them. So that's kind of expected. On the foot guard, he actually rolls bad. So this is a bad roll. He only gets 13 wounds on the foot guard. I think he was supposed to average get around 16 or 17. And that's going to put him on like I said, a 6 or a 7 twice. He only gets 13 wounds and doesn't even waver them. So definitely a big thing for me that he did not waver the foot guard. And certainly didn't kill them. So really huge. He's really committed a lot of resources here. And I should be able to get a pretty good backswing on him. His sharpness, they do kill the hero. They kill a hero. And they also kill the chariots. So those guys are dead. So it's top of 3. All right. So I pop the J boots and I charge into his foot knights. So those foot knights should be dead. I send my hero into his men at arms. I also push up those militia mob on the hill so that they'll be able to charge the men at arms next turn. I know that hero is not going to survive, so I've got those men at arms there as well, just kind of waiting on him. I ended up, so I corkscrew the giant. He withdraws and corkscrews into the centaurs. So he's sitting on 5s. And then I send my foot guard into the centaurs. I thought about going into his unicorn, but I think those centaurs are dead either way. And I didn't want to take a chance. I had an advantage. And I really felt if I could just pick up the centaurs, I would have in other words, even if those foot guard die at this point, that's okay. They'd kind of done their purpose. So I focused more on just killing the centaurs rather than taking out the unicorn, which is, I don't know that I would have it's a real chancey. I don't have, I would say, a great chance on taking out that unicorn. I'd rather just take the easy win with the centaurs. I move up my militia mob just to get in front of his sharpness troops. I do it also to kind of block. I don't want his sharpness going into my fanatics. So I push those militia up to kind of chaff up that unit. And yeah, I triple charge into the drunken ram. I go ahead and also send the captain in there too. So I'm feeling pretty good about killing that unit. So yeah. And so rolling. So before it was shown here, my ballistas do shoot into this Pegasus. We forgot to put the wounds on. I do shoot into the Pegasus and do like a few wounds, but the Pegasus is in cover, and so I don't waver it. But I do go into the centaurs. I rolled 11 wounds with brutal. That's 12, and I roll a 3. So I only waver those centaurs. So that's I definitely should have taken them out, but he rolled bad, and now I roll bad. I also just flank I do send my fanatics into the flank of the Strider. So I don't even think he even made me roll. They're just dead. So he didn't even make me roll this roll. He was just good. And I did check just to make sure. When I saw that these guys wavered, whenever I kill them, I checked to make sure that he couldn't get into my fanatics. So we both made it. We both agreed that those sharpness guys couldn't get into the fanatics. So I think I tweaked it a little bit and made sure that he couldn't get into them. The knights finish off the foot knights. I also I go ahead and I pivot so that you can kind of see he can't overrun into my knights. And I did that. The first thing I did before I did that, I did attack with my hero. He actually rolled bad, but I did get 1 wound. And once I saw that these guys were stuck there, that's whenever I rolled the foot knights, killed them, and then I positioned this way. So yeah, the knights, like I said, the waver on the centaurs was annoying, but I've got knights coming in the flank, so it's I'm not too worried about that. So this is me roll. This is before I roll the drunken ram, and yeah, I kill him. I actually roll pretty good, and I had some decent rolls. And with brutal on that giant, I kill one of those units. I sidestep with the pikeman, and then that giant just turns to face, and there's the captain as well. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was a great roll, but it was good enough just to take out those those redemption knights. All right, bottom of 3. So yeah, things aren't looking good for him. He goes ahead and sends in his unicorn to finish off those foot guard. You know, I think this is the one that I think has the really high version of Host Shadow Beast. So he's got Host Shadow Beast on all of them. With Host Shadow Beast in his regular attacks, he should be able to take out those foot guard. The centaurs at least are stuck there. He goes ahead and just goes into my he goes ahead and just goes into my my militia mob and with the sharpness. The other thing he does is he moves up his, I think we didn't transfer the wounds over, but he does move up his Pegasus. He gets basically a double pivot for Nibble, and he didn't charge him, he just moves right in front of the knights to chaff them up. So you can see that, that's where the Pegasus is. Sorry about that. And then he does kill my hero, but I already have the militia mob there just to chaff him up again. So both of these 2 units are getting chaffed this turn. Yeah, that's just me turning around. I think it's just another shot of just you know, this flank is also crumbling too. So yeah, but he does go ahead and he goes into the pikes, and he does finish off the pikes with these 2 units. So you know, he countercharged them. It was I didn't take a picture of it because it was just automatic, and he does finish off the pikes. He turns his cab to face, and then he surges his unicorn forward so he could get some charge range because they were behind the knight. So he did need to get them on the get the unicorn on the hill so that they could so that unicorn could charge some of the units. Yeah, so this is his other unicorn finishes off my foot guard. Okay. And then his sharpness, unsurprisingly, kill off my my militia mob. All right, so I think that's the end of that turn. Just another thing. Oh, say top of 4. So rather than going into his cav, which I don't think I would have killed, I went ahead and just double charged his unicorn. I really, those unicorns, if this was a golden opportunity for me to take out that unicorn. And also he didn't, you know, I could run past and not worry about him countercharging because I run past his arc. So I'm going to go and kill this second unicorn. I also send my fanatics into the flank of his other unicorn. So this turn I should be killing both unicorns. Also, those fanatics could have gone into the sharpness, but that would have put them in cover. I didn't like the odds so much, and so I'm not too worried about this sharpness unit, especially considering that they can't, you know, the sharpness unit isn't able to charge anything on the right flank. And with my fanatics coming in, they actually escape the arc of that of his knights. So I go ahead and just charge past, get out of the arc, and take out his unicorn. I send my giant into his centaurs. I send my knights into his Pegasus, even when they're hindered, should be fine. And I send my militia mob into his redemption. I'm sorry, his men-at-arms. So yeah, that's the 1 wound the giant took from when the Pegasus charged him. So the giant does have 1 wound. I do move up my ballista, and so this ballista couldn't shoot. There was like some cover. So this is 2 covered shots into his sharpness knights. I do a few wounds, nothing great. And then one of the ballista just moves up to try and get a better angle. These trees were blocking everything. So I just move the ballista up. I do a couple of wounds on his sharpness knights, but he's got regen, so probably not a big deal. So I do finish off the last unicorn. So and then I just turn around. So now you have the giant kind of facing this direction. He could theoretically charge my my fanatics, but my fanatics do kill off his unicorn, and they're on the other side of the hill. They're also past the arc, so my fanatics are safe now. I kill off his Pegasus, and then I turn around to face the men-at-arms. The fanatics, they actually go and they do a couple of wounds on the men-at-arms, but you know, I think it's like 4. Yeah, they do 4 wounds, nothing great. And then my giant kills the centaurs, and then he surges forward. So he's kind of got he's in the flank as well of the sharpness knights. Bottom of 4. So he's really running out of units. He turns his knights to face my giant on the right. On the far, I didn't take a picture of this, but he does turn his knights to face my giant, and so that's kind of uneven. But he does on the far right turn his other knights to face my giant, and then he countercharges the militia mob. Does like 6 wounds on him, but he wavers the militia mob, but they do stick. So top of 5. Top of 5, even though these guys are wavered, I'm able to come in there and make contact with the corner. And then once I make contact with the corner, I'm able to pick up and put them here. So that's a hindered charge with the knights, but that's still, I can get a Bane Chant off on that. So the knights, I think, can at least waver this unit. And if I waver them, then, I think they're dead next turn anyway. So I put the giant into his sharpness. I turn my fanatics over to face them. So even if something happens to the giant, I've got the fanatics there to finish him off. And so, like I said, last turn, he just turned and faced the giant. And so the giant and the captain go into his last unit of knights. It would be nice if I kill these guys because they do have a higher unit strength. But I do have like 2 rounds to do it. So I actually roll good. This probably didn't help my opponent, but I do roll good. And actually, on the first turn, finish off his knights. I think the captain and the knights just rolled good. I think I needed like 8s twice, and I got it. So, yeah, I mean, that just happens sometimes. My other giant goes in, does like 8 wounds, so 9 with brutal, but I think I don't even waver them, so that's fine. And then my knights, I think I get the Bane. Yeah, I get the Bane Chant off, so it's 4s and 2s. I get enough. There's no inspiring there, and I kill the foot guard. I kill the men at arms. So bottom of 5. I also turn my knights to face the other direction, but at this point, I think he's ready to call the game. Yeah, I think he's only really got 1 unit left. So he, just for fun's sake, he charges my giant, does 8 wounds on him, but my giant sticks. So, and we called it at the bottom of 5. So end of the game, he conceded after 5, and yeah, it's a victory to the Kings of Men. So pretty good game there. We're both trying to tweak lists. I think he's going to go back to the drawing board. We talked afterward about some suggestions about how he could kind of fine tune that list. So we're both playing lists that we're both trying to fine tune as well. I want to do some fine tuning as well. So I'll go for learning points for me. One thing I did try the Nimble Chariot. At 125 points, though, it's just not worth it. I feel all the Chariot did is just chaff up a unit for a turn. And honestly, if that's all it's going to do, I'm just going to add another militia mob unit in there. In other words, like if I'm going to pay 125 points, I want something to do other than just chaff, because I've got a 65 point chaff option that, in other words, I could have had a militia mob over there that could have pushed up and chaffed up that unit all the same. So, I don't know that I'm going to go to the Nimble Troop Chariot. I think it's still too pricey. I am looking at some army lists that are going to be running some hordes of chariots. So maybe I try that, or I may actually try a Legion of Chariots and see how that does. But I don't think the Nimble Chariot is going to work on it. So I'm probably going to be looking into maybe beefing up my militia mobs. I tried the Captain unmounted, and he actually did great. She did great. It was the models are, whatever. But the Captain being unmounted was fine. I think I can actually save 35 points, and I'm going to be trying to run the Captain unmounted and see how that does. Also, the Triple Ballista did great. They're naturally hitting on 4s. I just think I think Siege Artillery are just, they're in a bad place right now with all the stealth going on. It's just, ballistas are just Siege Artillery are just in a bad place. I think having ballistas, even with, we're going to be facing some Night Stalkers in the future. Not only Night Stalkers, there's just so many options these days. Ogres have their stealth bubble. Varangur have their stealth upgrade on their cav. There's just a lot of stealth on the units that you really want to shoot. And I think that having a 4-base shooting is just going to be a lot better than having that 5 up from the Siege Artillery. Giants did really great. So I did run them with the, again, I didn't plan this army based on him. So I actually ran them as double cleaver. So that's double slayer. So the Giants were never getting their slayer this game, but I still thought they did very well. With the captain, they're a 1921 with Fury. So I think they're, I'm definitely going to be bringing some more Giants. I've already ordered a third one, and I think I'm going to create a list that's going to run a third Giant. So I'm looking at a list that may actually drop I think it's like I'm dropping 2 of the Ballista, and I'm going to bring a third Giant. So I'm looking at a list like that as well. So yeah, I'm going to continue to tweak this list, but I thought that this version of the list did well, other than the nimble chariot. I think is worth dropping. All right, well, thanks for watching. You can always play me on Universal Battles. I am in the Explorer tournament right now, so I may not be able to pick up a game just yet, but after the Explorer tournament, I can play, provide feedback, like, subscribe, and comment. And also, if you're in the Austin, there's these Austin Kings of War group that you can come join. I'll link that in the description. And yeah, thanks for watching.